I'd like to call the June 3rd Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Thank you all for coming tonight. Our first order of business is invocation by our county manager, Mr. David Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you and conduct the business of Onslow County. Please bless all those who have gathered here this evening. Lord, be with the commissioners tonight in their deliberations and grant them knowledge and guidance as they look upon the responsibilities that are before them. Guide them as they make decisions for the betterment of Onslow County and her citizens. Father God, we thank you for our 2019 high school and college graduates. We pray you give them direction, purpose, and perseverance as they enter this next phase of their lives. Grant them success for their efforts at every turn and guide them to follow your ways. Father, we pray for the men and women in our armed forces who serve our country with tremendous courage, commitment, and sacrifice. May all we do this day bring you honor and glory. We will continue to thank you and praise you for the blessings you have bestowed upon us. Now, with deep respect and reverence for the faiths, beliefs, and traditions of those gathered here tonight, hear us in a moment of silence. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Our Deputy County Manager, Ms. Sharon Russell, will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to acknowledge the elected officials tonight. Sheriff Miller at the back of the room, thank you, sir, for being here. Our Chairman of the Board of Education, Ms. Pam Thomas, thank you, Ms. Thomas, for being here. Mr. Earl Taylor, Board of Education, and Mr. Paul Wiggins, Board of Education. I don't think I missed anybody. If I did, would you please raise your hand? Okay. We ask all in attendance, please set your cell phone to silent or vibrate mode. The board offers the public 2 opportunities to speak during the meeting. Comments during the first public comment period should be limited to 3 minutes each and must be directly issue-oriented with the agenda items for this particular meeting. The second public comment period is at the end of the meeting and may be on any issue upon which the Board of Commissioners has control. During the second public comment period, citizens can address the board for up to 5 minutes each. Citizen speakers will be acknowledged in the order in which they have signed up to speak and will address all comments to the board as a whole and not one individual commissioner. Speakers will address the board from the speaker's podium at the front of the room and will begin their remarks by stating their name and their address. Discussion between speakers and members of the audience will not be allowed. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. Speakers are expected to be civil in their language and presentation. Any comments where the primary purpose is to promote a business or candidacy shall not be allowed. In accordance with the board's adopted rules and procedures, commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, for the commissioner comment period at the agenda, which is at the end of the meeting. With no other items being considered separately, a motion to adopt the meeting agenda is in order.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Approval of the items on the consent agenda. Is any commissioner that would like to have anything removed from the consent agenda and put on the end of the meeting for further discussion or concern?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and approve the minutes on the consent agenda, or not the minutes, but the items on the consent agenda as listed. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3 is public comment section. Mr. Cotton, is anyone signed up for the first public comment section?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Item number 4 is the rezoning, and I'll turn that over to Ms. Jessica Rue for the presentation.
Good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. Tonight's first rezoning request is a traditional rezoning. It's for 41.92 acres to be rezoned from rural agricultural to residential 10 and highway business. This request was submitted by Parker and Associates on behalf of Clearly Development Incorporated, the property owner. The property is located on 258 and Irvintown Road in Richland. This site has utilities available through Northwest Onslow Water and Onwassa, and fire service provided by Northwest Onslow. Traffic counts on both adjacent streets are below design capacity. This location is on Kinston Highway. It's just past the Richlands Walmart, which is the large tract in blue that you see on the screen. The majority of the adjacent parcels in the area are zoned RA with some R8M to the north. The aerial view demonstrates that the tracts are currently undeveloped. Our current zoning is RA, which is agricultural and low-density development. And there's two proposed zoning districts involved in this rezoning request. The larger is nearly 40 acres and is proposed to be rezoned to R10. That's a medium-density residential district. The second parcel, which is 1.98 acres, is proposed to be rezoned to highway business. That does have street frontage on Kinston Highway, and this district is designed to accommodate businesses along major roadways. The future land use map demonstrates here that the area is classified as agriculture forestry. And while this district does not correspond with the two proposed zoning districts, the rezoning is in fact supported by land use policies that encourage commercial growth on major roadways and residential development where there is access to sewer, which we do have here. This request received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Board at their meeting on May 2nd, and that concludes my overview of the request.
Thank you, Mr. Rue. I will now open the public hearing. No one has signed up for the public hearing, so I'll make a call to the audience. If anyone is interested in speaking on rezoning case PREZ 2019 0006, please approach the podium. Seeing no one approach the podium, I will now close the public hearing, and the item is available for commissioner discussion and questions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes carry. Next rezoning issue case is Ms. Jessica Rue, our interim planning director.
Thank you again. Tonight's second rezoning request is a traditional rezoning as well. This is a petition to go from residential 8M to RA zoning. This request was submitted by Parker and Associates on behalf of Anthony Sides Construction, and the request is for 1.75 acres. This site has water available through Onwassa, fire service provided by Northwest Onslow. Traffic counts weren't available to staff on Quaker Bridge Road. However, we do see that Gum Branch Road is at near capacity. The zoning map here demonstrates the majority of adjacent parcels are zoned RA, with R8M being the remainder of the tract the request is on. This property is located on the east side of Quaker Bridge Road. It's in Jacksonville, and it's about 5,200 feet north of the intersection with Gum Branch Road. Our aerial view demonstrates that this area is primarily undeveloped. Underneath the area where the request is, you see Quaker Bridge Cemetery to the south. Our current zoning is R8M. This is a higher density residential district. And the requested zoning district is RA, and again, that's intended for ag uses and lower density development. The future land use map demonstrated here shows this is AF in conservation. And these classifications are in fact consistent with the requested rezoning, and this would be considered a reasonable extension of the current zoning in the area that is mostly RA. The request received a unanimous recommendation on May 2nd from the Planning Board, and with that, I will turn it back to you.
At this time, I will open the public hearing. No one has signed up for the public hearing for rezoning case PREZ 2019, TAC 0007. We'll ask the applicant or applicant representative if they would like to make a statement. Okay.
My name is Lori Morris. I work with Parker and Associates, and I'm really just here if you have any specific questions that I can answer for you.
Okay, thank you. I'll make one additional call to the audience. If anyone would like to speak on rezoning case PREZ 2019 TAC 0007, please approach the podium. Seeing no one approach the podium, I will now close the public hearing. It is available for commissioner discussion and questions.
Motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board members? Any questions from the applicant or staff? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Section C, rezoning. Ms. Jessica Rue.
Okay, we'll switch it up this time. Our third rezoning request is a conditional rezoning for a portion of 2 parcels from RA to highway business. These are near the intersection of US 17 and White Oak River Road in Maysville. This specifically is for approval to put up 2 outdoor advertising signs. The request was submitted by Dennis Salter and Robert Parker on behalf of Dennis Salter and Robert and Joyce Parker. The acreage of the request totals about 10.78 acres. Tract 1 is 4.59 acres, and Tract 2 is 6.19 acres. Water is available in the area through Onwassa. Individual septic tanks would be required if it turned into some development that needed them. Fire service provided by Belgrade Volunteer Fire Department. And again, the traffic counts in the vicinity are below capacity in this area. Our zoning map demonstrates this area is zoned rural agricultural. There is some residential development nearby. The aerial view here shows the tracks are vacant. They do have access off of the Maysville bypass. The current zoning is RA. Current use options available in that area now are reflected on the screen. The proposed zoning district would be highway business conditional, and the allowable uses would be of this nature. But again, I remind you the specific request tonight is for 10 by 40 foot outdoor advertising signs. There's 2 site plans associated with this rezoning. This is the first, it's the Parker tract. The 10 by 40 sign is depicted on here. And this is the second, the Salter tract. And the 10 by 40 sign is depicted on here as well. Our future land use map designates this area as AF and conservation, and the conditional rezoning request is inconsistent with this land use classification, which were given out before the bypass was there. The request is in fact supported by the limited intensity of uses that have been proposed in the conditions, as well as policies in our land use plan that support retail and services along main corridors, which this now is. Our planning board did unanimously recommend the approval of this conditional rezoning request, and they included your standard conditions as well as a list of limited uses for further development. That concludes my presentation on this request.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rue. At this time, I will open the public hearing. I will call on the applicant or applicant representative to make a statement concerning rezoning case CREZ 2019 TAC 0005.
Hi, my name is Gray Vick, and I'm here on behalf of Mr. Parker and Mr. and Mrs. Salter. And I'm here to answer any questions y'all have regarding the rezoning hearing, or rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No one has signed up to speak. At this time, I will make a call to the audience. Anyone interested in speaking on rezoning case CREZ 2019 TAC 0005, please approach the podium. Seeing no one approach the podium, I will now close the public hearing. The item is available for commissioner discussion and questions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions by the commissioners from the applicant or staff?
Since this is a conditional rezoning, does that mean the applicant would have to return back in order to do anything other than the signs?
Does that satisfy your? Any other discussion from board members? I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. Text amendment case, Ms. Jessica Rue. We'll let you camp out up here, huh?
I know, right? Okay, my final request this evening is for several amendments to the zoning ordinance. They are regarding area requirements, ownership standards, and setback clarifications. The request here tonight was submitted by planning staff, and these are what we would consider housekeeping amendments to section 1406, which covers special requirements. And special requirements are additional standards that apply to certain uses in specific places. And our first proposed change would drop a 2-acre requirement from a number of uses in the community business district. The 2-acre standard would remain the same in the rural agricultural district, where the size requirement there is intended to protect adjacent lands. It would be eliminated from the CB zone, where we'd like to see denser development, and it's permissible and is almost encouraged. And so that requirement now really didn't make sense to staff. Nothing else there would change. The second change eliminates a requirement that a business owner is required to live on or own the building that their business is in. This is reflective of case law from 2008 in Wilmington that determined that this requirement is unconstitutional. And the final update is to clarify that setback standards for uses apply to new construction only. This is important. We want to encourage the reuse of existing buildings, and so for that reason, we're clarifying that on that use standard, the setback applies to the use. It will not have to apply to a building on the ground already. And our planning board did discuss and unanimously recommend these amendments on May 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I will open the public hearing for text amendment case ZTA 2019 TAC 0002. No one has signed up to speak. We'll make one call to the audience. If anyone would like to speak on text amendment case ZTA 2019 TAC 0002, please approach the podium. Seeing no one approach the podium, I will now close the public hearing. It is available for commissioner discussion and consideration.
Motion?
Motion to approve.
I hear a motion to approve. I hear a second.
Second.
And second. All, any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 5 under public hearing statute, Mr. Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. We're drawing a close to fiscal year 18-19 and considering fiscal year 19-20. So I am respectfully requesting that the Board of Commissioners set the public hearing for the proposed fiscal year 2019-2020 budget for Monday, June 17th, 2019 at 6 p.m. or as soon as possible after the start of the meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
For the public hearing for the Onslow County budget for 19 and 20 budget year will be June the 17th, 2019 at 6 p.m. I encourage folks to come out and be involved in the public hearing if they want to know about the budget or if they have questions about it. B, I think that's Mr. McCole, our finance director.
Good evening, Board of Commissioners. The item you have before you is the audit engagement letter with Elliott Davis, the firm that we contracted with the audit contract approved in April by the board. The audit engagement kind of spells out the conditions of what's expected from us as a county and what's expected from the firm in performing the audit. The engagement letter spells out the objectives and the scope of the audit of the financial statements, the responsibilities of the auditor, the responsibilities of management, and identification of the applicable financial reporting framework. It also covers records and assistance, other relevant information. It also touches on the fees and the cost, which is the fees that are referred to in the engagement letter is the same amount of the contract that you approve, which is $59,500. And it also discusses access to work papers, the work that they perform in doing preparing the audit, and other miscellaneous items and reporting items. With that said, I respectfully request that you consider approval of the engagement letter with Elliott Davis and authorize the chairman to sign the engagement letter on behalf of the county.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Hear a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. McCole. 2017 Burn Justice Assistance Grant. Sheriff Miller.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm pleased to bring you a positive. The North Carolina Department of Public Safety Governor's Crime Commission has awarded the Onslow County Sheriff's Office a grant in the amount of $22,776 as part of a fiscal 1917 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Grant process and program. In this grant, the Sheriff's Office requested to purchase electronic monitoring devices to track informants and suspects released from custody. We did that for crime prevention purposes. The Sheriff's Office was planning to do this program in conjunction with the Jacksonville Police Department. After approval, funds were held up and for roughly a year by the state of North Carolina because of a budget freeze. After the funds were approved for disbursement a second time, the need for the agency, our agency, had changed, and the Jacksonville Police Department was no longer participating in the electronic monitoring project. Therefore, we changed the scope of the grant to allow the purchase of a arrest module, which is a software module, for our officers' mobile data terminals, laptop computers that are inside their offices, their vehicles. This purchase will allow officers to complete arrest reports in their vehicles instead of having to come to the office, which is travel time and administrative time. So they can do it in their vehicles instead of in the office for an extended period of time, completing the reports after arrests are made. So this is a time saver for us. The add-on module will get our officers back into their patrol cars, back into their zones, and on the streets to respond to citizens' calls for services, and approximately 30 to 60 minutes quicker. The grant is 100% funded by the Department of Justice with no matching funds. No matching funds requirements from Onslow County. However, they do require board approval. I respectfully request that the board approve this grant and allow for us to receive that money.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any questions for the sheriff? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All opposed? Thank you, Sheriff. Next item is Beach access, Mr. Janice Steele.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and Commissioners. For your consideration tonight, we have the North Topsail Beach Access and Crossover Project. The Beach Access and Crossover Project will enable the county to repair the damage caused by Hurricane Florence on North Topsail Beach to beach accesses number 1, number 2, and number 4, and to the beach crossovers at 2nd Street, 5th, 7th, 9th, 13th, 21st, Thompson Street, and Reeve Streets. The estimated cost of the repairs are, for the beach access repairs, professional services, $74,628. Construction repairs are estimated to be $378,000. Beach crossover repairs, the professional services are estimated to be $39,872. Construction repairs are estimated to be $216,500. It's anticipated that the county will be reimbursed by FEMA for these repairs, but due to the timing and needs to get the contracts issued, the ordinance is prepared utilizing tourism funds. Due to FEMA requirements, the funds received from FEMA for the project will be applied to the project, and tourism funding will be returned to the general fund and placed in the tourism reserve. It's respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners approve the beach access and crossover repair project ordinance and authorize the chairman to sign on behalf of the county.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Have a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion?
And Ms. Steele, what is the projected completion date for all that work?
We are currently out to bid for the construction of beach accesses number 1, 2, and 4. That bid opens on June 11th. Hopefully, after that, we'll bring a contract to you to start repairs. It would be in July. I can tell you that staff has done repairs to a lot of those areas so that they're usable for the summer, and I have a whole list of that if you're interested. But we are currently using beach access number 2 and 1 at the bottom level. But the complete repairs for the beach accesses should be done hopefully no later than the end of the summer, and the crossovers right after that.
You know, we're losing our summer tourist season very quickly.
Yes.
This funding is coming from the tourism funding originally, and then going back in for reimbursement from FEMA?
Yes, sir.
Have we've submitted the claim, has that been approved from FEMA, or are we still waiting to hear from?
Commissioner Foster, they have acknowledged receipt,
Right.
and it's in process.
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I would think this would be important in preventing further destruction of the dunes as people are going over in those areas. That's why it's extremely important right now.
Yes, sir.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Steele. Library appointments, Board of Trustees, Mr. Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. There are 2 parts to this. For the 10-member board, first, Ms. Elaine Biexines for the White Oak category is a 3-year term serving until June 30 of 2022. For the Swansboro category, there are 3 individuals. All individuals have expressed an interest in the appointment. They have provided the requisite citizen participation applications. The applications are on file and have been certified by the clerk's office. Ms. Ann L. Herrick, Ms. Pamela J. Thornton, and Ms. Mary Ann Yannick have all submitted applications for the Swansboro category. So it is respectfully requested that the reappointment of Ms. Elaine Biexines for the White Oak category and the appointment of an individual in the Swansboro category. And if the commissioner's ready, I'll collect the ballots.
Do we need a motion for the White Oak category?
Motion to approve the White Oak category.
Second.
Motion and a second for the White Oak category. All in favor?
Aye.
Now we got ballots for the other category, Swansboro.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the board has selected Ms. Pamela J. Thornton to serve in the Swansboro category for a 3-year term expiring June 30th of 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Cotton. Congratulations, Ms. Thornton, for getting selected for that position. Those ballots that we do, I think Mr. Cotton would probably say that, but those ballots are open to the public for public review if you want to know who voted for who and how it was selected. That's surely public information, so feel free to check with Mr. Cotton or our clerk to, if you want to get more details about that. Thank you. We're now at the 7 consent agenda. There was nothing moved from the front to the consent agenda. Now we're at item 8, which is the last portion of the commissioner meeting for public comment again. And I'm assuming Mr. Cotton will have the list and who signed up and so forth.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. This is the second public comment period. In accordance with the board's adopted rules of procedures, commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, for the commissioner comment period on the agenda. Comments may be on any issue upon which the Board of Commissioners has control. During the second public comment period, citizens can address the board for up to 5 minutes each. The first speaker is Jane Shermer.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is an honor to stand before you. As a YMCA professional, I am so humbled to be able to serve Onslow County and Jacksonville and the cities and the townships around it with the new River Y that will be opening, hopefully, soon this summer, projected sometime August. We'll have more on that in a few minutes. But at 159 Cheney Avenue, it's coming along wonderfully. But it is an honor and a privilege to serve as a YMCA professional of the people of this county. I wanted to give you an update program-wise on the wonderfully warm partnership with Onslow County Schools. The administration team there and the transfer of some of the after-school programs has been very welcoming, professionally collaborative effort. You're going to hear that word from me a lot through the years. I'm a collaborator, but Onslow County Schools has really reached their hand out as we've reached in to transition those 13 schools into the care of the YMCA programming. Currently, our after-school enrollment going into 2019-20 is right at the teetering of 100-plus students, families that we'll be serving. And then our 2 summer camp locations at Southwest Elementary and Queens Creek, we, as of this evening, are right around 45, 46 students, families that will be joining us over the 9-week course, serving Monday through Friday from 6:15 in the morning to 6 at night. And I'm really proud to say that 17 of the 45 families that we are embracing this summer are receiving some type of financial assistance to join us and to belong at the Y through the programming that we're offering. We could not do that alone. We do that on behalf of the YMCA through the support systems that the community philanthropic effort brings to the table, but also we have collaboratively been embraced by the Armed Services Y to reach the enlisted military families. So I think that's something to be proud of collectively as a county, bringing a Y in, is that 17 of the 45 children tonight will be somehow financially assisted to achieve their first best summer ever through the YMCA. We also are moving forward with the Girls on the Run and the Stride program. We have a full-time coordinator who will be working with the coaches. We just finished in partnership and observation with the Y of Wilmington, the race over at Jacksonville Commons area. That went really well. We look forward to taking that upon our mantra in partnership with the resources in the community to run the race, the YMCA race that will embrace the Girls on the Run and the Stride goal races twice a year. So we appreciate that. I also want to talk a little bit about another partnership with the schools coming up in the fall and the spring. The YMCA collectively in the movement is known for helping children and their parents have a little more water safety skill set. So we will be working, again, collaboratively with the New River Aquatic Facility on base to bring all second graders to water safety programming starting in the fall and commencing in the spring. And I say a lot about the school system, but this Y is really positioned, and as a Y leader, I'm really proud to say that first and foremost, it is a community asset. It's a collaborator asset. The facility that we have, it will be a convener of programs that reach in, bring in, and also reach out. Some of our staff team been in dialogue with the vocational rehabilitative employment team here for the county. We have got 4 or 5 applicants actually that I feel like will be able to embrace into gainful employment using their adaptive needs within the Y system and outside of the 4 walls of the Y. So I say that. And also family programming, we've begun to think forward. What can we do? What does that look like? It might be cooking, it might be messy art, it might be a deployed spouses retreat where we actually send them off to camp for the night and we keep the kids on a lock-in at the Y. So I'm really excited about fun things like that. But also the older adult population. I think the way that the Y is being built and furnished, and I think the team at the Y is very collectively mindful of our older adult population. Sometimes when those older adults come in, they may take a morning class, they may do a little healthy nutrition class in the teaching kitchen, but you know what? It's really all about the coffee. And it's all about the community, a friendly conversation. So many of our older adults go home alone. And I just feel very heart-driven that the best and maybe only friendly conversation all day long is going to be around a cup of coffee in that YMCA lobby. So it's not just a lobby. That is a community building asset within the 4 walls there. And in closing, I would like to offer to you, we are up and live with our own website now. It's all one big word, newrivery.org. And again, thank you for your time and thank you for investing in this wonderful community asset.
That 5 minutes goes quick, doesn't it?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the next person who has signed up is Ms. Bradley, 100 Huff Court, Jacksonville.
Back again. I have a copy of this. Should I give this to someone? My name is Cheryl Morrow Bradley. I'm a resident of Onslow County. I live at 100 Huff Court, Jacksonville. And I wrote a letter to Dr. Senator Tillis, and that's what I'm sending to you all. It should be, and Shannon will probably pick up after me because I can never stick to my 5 minutes. So, but as you're already aware, that myself and Miss O'Hare were on a horseback riding accident on February 10th. 911 was called, and we were transported by Onslow EMS to Naval Hospital, Camp Lejeune. We were both treated without consent, despite the fact that we were both conscious and in the ER for several hours. That was especially true of myself. We were both covered by Medicare and a Medicare supplement, Mutual Omaha. However, the Naval Hospital apparently cannot secure payment for any Medicare product or any Medicaid product. And in order for them to bill Medicare directly, they must have a special dispensation from the Department of, I'm not sure it's the department, but from Medicare and Medicaid directly. There is such a place at Fort Hood in Texas who can bill Medicare because they have a burn unit that's second to none and not offered in the community. So what happens is people from Onslow County and surrounding counties are transported to Naval Hospital, Camp Lejeune, many fully covered by their insurance, and they are provided services, led to believe, pretty much, that that will be covered by their insurance, and then they find out later that it's not covered by their insurance, and it can't be billed, and you have to self-bill. And in that process, it has been a pretty unpleasant experience with CRS, who is the agency that the Department of Defense is contracted with to bill civilians. If you don't pay your bill, for us, our accident was February 10th. If we didn't have our total bill paid by 4/20, we have started to receive 1% interest billing, and by June 19th, we will get a 6% penalty, and by July 19th or 20th, we'll have up to a 30% penalty and be taken to collections and have our credit ruined. So, as you know, well, not everyone here knows, but we were here a month ago, and we had some county commissioners help us. Since then, Ms. O'Hare was given, she talked to them on the phone, and they gave her a $50 minimum charge per month. That's their minimum payment that you can make, despite the fact that when she gave them all her financial information, she was in the hole. I'm a different story. I make more money. However, their form is long and very onerous. So what happens is I pay over $250 a month to make sure I have good coverage, healthcare coverage. So it was not pleasant for me to say, you owe us $5,500 and some, and we're going to charge you interest. And they weren't helped. But in essence, I talked to the billing lady at Camp Lejeune, who said, expect your claim to be denied at least once, if not several times. The person that she knew who succeeded took them, I'm watching the clock, took them 5 months to successfully get the claim paid. And I know that they had to pay the interest, but they weren't assessed the penalty or the collections fee. But my plea to, or my consideration that I asked Senator Tillis to consider was that when he championed the establishment of this new trauma center at Camp Lejeune, did he ever consider the second and third order effects of having your North Carolina constituents treated at a military treatment facility, in this case Naval Medical Center at Camp Lejeune, which I refer to as the Naval Hospital, that is by federal law unable to enter into any sort of a contract or agreement with Medicare or Medicaid? It's illegal for them to bill Medicare. What steps are you taking to ensure that North Carolina citizens who are taken to the Navy hospital can expect to have their bills paid by their insurances, Medicare, Medicaid, et cetera, as if they were seen as another hospital in America? With that, I'll leave you with Ms. O'Hare.
Thank you, Ms. Bradley.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Our next speaker.
Ms. O'Hare, 100 Huff Court, Jacksonville. Ms. O'Hare.
I've been doing a lot of talking with government officials. I've been on the phone with Social Security. I've been on the phone with Medicare. I've been on the phone twice today with Senator Tillis's office, trying to get this issue resolved. The issue for me is I'm considered a lower income status. I don't pay as much as Dr. Bradley does for insurance, but I still pay quite a bit. When I went over my bills with the woman on the phone who was agitated, but so was I, so that probably just balanced each other. And I go through and blah, blah, blah. She says, okay, well, you have to pay $50. I said, I don't have $50. I'm $450. She says, you're $450 in the hole. I said, I know. She said, you have to pay $50 a month. I said, I don't have $50 a month. I said, I can give you $10 a month. I mean, when I had a bill at Onslow, I gave them, I don't know, $10 a month for forever. So anyways, it's been a very frustrating process because I know what's coming up is this looming jump into 6% and then possibly 30% interest over something that we had no control over. And this is true not only for me and Dr. Bradley, but for every senior citizen in Onslow. If you have Medicare and you have a trauma, they will take you to the Naval Hospital and you will be getting the bill. And that's it. That's it. So if your wife or your aunt or somebody comes by and they trip and break their leg or hit their head, right to Onslow. I'm sorry, not Onslow. Onslow is a no trauma. They're not listed as a trauma hospital. So straight to Naval Hospital, and you'll get the bills and a lot of calls from MRS, the contracted billing agency. Today, my conversations with Senator Tillis's office were with a man named Shannon Sumner. He originally called to say that they had received a letter that we sent, and that they were in touch with Medicare. And probably by June 17th or whatever date he said, I have to say that fall really kind of hit my head pretty much. I have a problem with my memory now. He said, we'll be back in touch. And I said, well, that's really super, but the interest rate is already going to go up to 6%. And he said, okay, well, we're going to be working on this. And I appreciated that they are working on it. And he called me back just as I was leaving the house to say that he wanted a release from us, or permission from us, to send, to provide this information, for Senator Tillis to provide this information to the Pentagon. Now, I don't know the whole military setup. I was so, anybody who will pay this bill. I said, listen, I would like for you to have Senator Tillis just say, don't pay this. Or the military hospital say, you don't have to pay it, because I can't pay it. That's not happening, at least not today, but it does seem that people are moving on it. My concern is, of course, they're not going to move very quickly, and I'm still, I'm still going to be in trouble. I also want to say once again, this is not just about me. It's about any senior citizen who has Medicare or anybody who has Medicaid. Those bills will be going out, and they don't want to hear anything. And if I were a bill collector, I wouldn't want to hear it either. But I want to keep you be able to come back and keep you updated on what's going on with this, because I suspect that this will happen more and more often. It'll happen as long as the hospital is unable to bill Medicare by law or Medicaid by law. So I hope I can come back. I hope I have better news. Maybe yes, maybe no, but I appreciate the time that you have given me to listen.
Went fast, didn't it?
To listen to what's going on, and that this could happen to any family member you have.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Our next speaker?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. The last speaker this evening is David Williams.
Oh, hello. David Williams, 109 Shadowbrook Drive. See, the board's getting bigger, just like our Onslow County school system. I just want to say, for many reasons, I don't share a lot of love with the Onslow County school system, but I understand their importance, and I understand they do a lot of good. So I'm kind of here in support of them tonight. I got some numbers here. I believe they're correct. I hope they're wrong. I hope my words could be forgotten tonight if these are wrong and you've done more. But we've had a really bad year, as everybody knows, with the storm and all. And I've been wondering how you came to these numbers, if they're correct. How many board meetings of the school board have you attended? Or have you taken the time to watch the G10 workshops they have? I've watched some of them. I don't know if I caught all of them, but they're in really bad shape. The school system needs a little extra, I believe, this year. And when it comes to the capital outlay, this is what I understand. They needed $6 million they were asking for, and you gave them, or the county gave them an extra $500,000, so you gave them what, $3.5 million, which would leave a deficit of 2.5. Now, as far as I know, they're using this money to repair roofs, leaks, or whatever. Been left over from the storm. I've been in a lot of homes. The job I do, I've been in a lot of condos. There's a lot of damage out there, and I've seen beautiful places tore down to nothing. And I have no reason to believe that that didn't happen to our schools. So if those numbers there are correct, this $2.5 million, they have less to deal with these problems. Now, I understand in order for you to get that money, you'd have to raise taxes, what, 2.5 cents per 100? And yeah, that hurts. But the way I look at it, if any of you had a plumbing issue at your house and you just rigged it up because you didn't have the time or the money to fix it at that moment, and then in the middle of the night it busts and does a lot more damage to your house, that's on you. You made that choice. But if they don't have this money and they can't fix what they have, and something like that occurs to them, that's all of us. You're taking my tax money and everybody else's tax money, and you're gambling with it, if that's the case. And I don't think that's right. I mean, we have an obligation to these folks. We have an obligation to building more schools. We just happen to live in a territory, a time period where a lot of these kids are coming in. We have an obligation to do it. We might not like it. You might like it. But there's your time right there. I think they deserve it, and we need to step up. I mean, I came here when I was 17. There was a school waiting for me. I didn't pay no money for that school. My parents didn't pay any money for that school. Somebody else did. And we have spent, over many years of Onslow County, millions and millions and millions, and we keep going on all this investment, and to not put the money into it, maintain it, I think is an insult to every single taxpayer that's ever lived in Onslow County that's contributed to these schools. I mean, it just doesn't sound right to me. But, so if those numbers are right, I would hope that you would reconsider that. I mean, when the sheriff's or the jailhouse had their air conditioner go bad, we stepped in and paid for it. I mean, maybe people don't recognize this because when something goes bad at the schools, it's diluted through all the tax system instead of one person having to pay for it. But I don't know. But on the other part, I think on the current expenses, I think they were asking 53.9. They got 52.6. You gave them an extra $1 million. You're shorting them 1.3 if those are the correct numbers. And they wanted more psychiatrists. They wanted this and that. Do they need it? I don't know. I'm not on the front lines. But if that's the case, if they really truly need it, I can see where you have more leadway on that, because until the people show up in this building that you built, okay, and pack this room and pack the streets, and you know, if they know 10 people that can't come, put their names on a petition or whatever in support of that 1.3 million. And then the people will be asking, yeah, raise my taxes for that. Then you could more than likely say, yeah, you're asking me, I can do it. We did it with the nurses, or I don't know if we raised the county tax 20 some odd years ago. But when I brought that up, everybody said no. But look what we have today, you know? And let's see, 14 seconds. So I'm just here to support it, and I ask the people of Onslow County on the front lines or whatever, if they really need those psychiatrists and everything, if it's really needed, show up next week or next meeting. So thank you for listening. And have a good evening.
Anyone else?
No, sir.
Okay, we at the manager's comment. Mr. Cotton, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner. I do have just one announcement I'd like to make. Dr. Michelle Osborne, she is the Chief Deputy Insurance Commissioner with the North Carolina Department of Insurance. She and her staff will be in Onslow County at the Government Center June 25th at 7 p.m. And the purpose of the meeting is to invite the public to attend and ask questions and receive answers concerning disaster recovery, flood insurance questions, not just specifically related to Hurricane Florence, but for planning for the future and how to make sure that they have the correct insurance. And also, and she did say, as important, to receive feedback on the public's perception of how North Carolina Department of Insurance interacted and responded on behalf of the state in response to Hurricane Florence this past September. So anyone interested, we will have that posted again on our website and social media, and certainly G10.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner comments. I'll start with Commissioner Buchanan.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate everybody being here this evening. Billy, thank you and your staff for giving us that update on the YMCA. That's very well needed here. I've talked to Chief Unero several times about it and the sheriff, and it's one of those things that we need in this community, and I want to thank Billy and his staff for helping us with that. The other thing, I was down at Hammocks Beach State Park on Saturday. It was Military Appreciation Day. I don't know how many thousands they had this year. Miss Donna could probably tell me. I see her sitting out there someplace. But the Chamber for Swansboro does an outstanding job every year, and there must have been at least 3,000 or 4,000 military families. The sheriff was down there with us, and I appreciate you being there, Sheriff, and moving around with the young people, the young Marines that we had there, and the young Navy and Coast Guard. It was just amazing to me. And everybody have a safe trip home. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Foster.
Just Onslow County, tonight we've heard quite a bit, YMCA, military appreciation. Onslow County is a county of collaboration and teamwork. Onslow County Schools, YMCA. Parks and Rec, Onslow County Schools. Military, Onslow County Schools, Onslow County as a whole. Just last week was a great exhibit, I believe it was last week, that the SAT Scholarship Banquet took place. The sponsors for academic talent and their executive director, Brent Anderson, was a great example of community service of what's going on in Onslow County. And as long as we continue to ask our students to work in the community to receive scholarship along with their academic success, then we're building a foundation where Onslow County will continue to be a county of collaboration and teamwork and taking care of each other. So I think that's something we need to remember, and especially in the coming weeks, we will have quite a few kids walking across the stage into our community. We hope and pray that they'll have a good night of celebrating and be safe out there. Make sure you see one of those graduating seniors and congratulate them and welcome them to the world. And thanks for coming out tonight. Look forward to many more.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Knapp.
Just a couple things. Ms. Sherman, I appreciate you coming up and speaking to us on the YMCA, and Billy, thank you too for supporting it. I think it's a great program. I'm all about the YMCA, and it's good to see that we're engaging our kids and trying to do things for them to make things better. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for coming here and presenting it. I appreciate it very much. A couple things. Cheryl, I've talked to you about this, and I've talked to Riley Eversole at the hospital too, and she's been very cooperative with me. And I do believe there's some kind of disconnect here, because they have assured me that they've taken the steps necessary and taken some precautions in terms of trying to help you with this. There's been some emails being sent. I've got a copy of the emails. I've been heavily involved in this. I'm sorry this is happening to you. I've already addressed the issue in terms of the base having some type of patient affairs liaison to work these issues out. So your words are not going on deaf ears, but I'm listening to you talk, and I just sense there's a disconnect between you and the hospital, because I'm hearing one side of the story. And I can assure you that I think Ms. Eversole is telling me the truth. She's got notes and stuff like that. And she sent emails out to you. So I guess you guys need to get together to work this out, because I want to see this resolved. But there's two sides to this, and that's where I'm confused. But I'll be reaching out to you to get some more information to see where the disconnect is, because apparently it's there. And I know Somerville up at the hospital, and he's working hard to resolve this issue along with Ms. Eversole. So hopefully we can get it resolved in the future. The third thing is, well, let me say something else too about the trauma center. The trauma center, it's a big deal here at Camp Lejeune that the Naval Hospital has been designated as a trauma center. We don't have any other medical facility designated as a trauma center. Now, if you know anything about hospitals, to be designated a trauma center, that steps up your patient care. And so when EMTs are on the scene or EMS is on the scene and you have a head injury or something like that, be thankful that there is a trauma center there to help you, because they can stabilize you, they can recognize symptoms more so than other normal medical facilities. And I think it's a big step up that they're going to do what they can to save lives. And I mean, I'm thankful for the hospital here that they've been upgraded because we needed something like that. It just so happens it's a medical facility or a military medical facility, and I believe they're top notch. So enough on that. The other thing, as Mr. Williams, you made some comments about the school board, and I appreciate you coming out. You know, we're in a tight pickle right now as far as our budget's concerned. We're asking everybody across the board to look inside themselves and try to reduce their spending. We haven't approved the budget yet. We haven't discussed it at length in terms of today's meeting. We have been discussing the budget, and there's some numbers there that we're concerned about. There's some things that we're concerned about. But don't for 1 minute think that we don't have the kids' best interest at heart, because we do. Problem is money, okay? It's money. Now, we could sit there and tax and spend, but I, for one, am not in favor of another tax increase, okay? I just won't do it unless it's a sales tax, which I think is more equitable and more fair across the board for everybody. Because as far as I'm concerned, you get 60% of the people that own property, and you increase their taxes, and they pay for 100% of the bill. I don't think that's fair. I said, we got people in this county that should be taxed across the board as a sales tax that come into our county and use our facilities and leave the property owners alone. I think we've been taxed enough. That's just my opinion. I'm a property owner that happen to live in the county and the city, so I get double whammied. But just keep in mind that when we look at this budget, we're not going to please everybody. We're doing everything we possibly can. I know all the commissioners that are sitting up here are fiscal conservatives, and they're looking really hard at the budget, where we can make cuts, what we can do to conserve money. And believe me, there are restless nights with some of us up here struggling with this idea, because the easy way for us is just to tax people. But we're not going to do that. So bear with us, and I understand you're concerned, but know that the commissioners have the students, have the interests of the parents and the teachers as our number one priority. We just have to find a framework to do it correctly. Is that fair enough? Okay, so, you know, you made a comment that really kind of bothered me. You said we need to step up. You know, when I hear something like that, we need to step up, I think we are stepping up. But we also need other entities to step up as well. Okay, it takes two to make something work like this. And, you know, we can't have everything laying at the county commissioners and we're the bad guys, because we're not. We're really trying to work hard on this budget, and we're trying to move forward together as a community and to get everybody satisfied as possible. But as you know, that's hard to do. But we're going to find a way. We'll find, where there's a will, there's a way, and we're going to make the right steps, and I appreciate your comments tonight. Other than that, I just want to wish everybody a happy night. Thank you for coming out and listening to us. I know some of it was boring for some of you guys, but that's county business, and I just hope you all have a safe trip home. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Price?
I'd like to congratulate our seniors who are approaching the end of the school year and graduation, and their families. I know they're looking forward to that, and so I just encourage them to finish strong, and just congratulations to them. On Friday, the North Carolina Senate passed their budget. The House had earlier passed the budget as well. In that House budget, there is a HB 667 to allow a 1/4-cent sales tax, which would have to be submitted to a public referendum. And so we need the Senate, we need the people to tell the Senate, we want that to be a part of the conference committee. You know, if you want a sales tax, you have to let your representatives know. You know, it's in the House budget. The Senate now, it's not in their budget. So whatever comes out of conference, that's what it's going to look like. And in that Senate budget, they do allow for 100 new psychologists. Mr. Williams, you expressed concern about that. I think both the House budget and the Senate budget recognizes the need for increased psychologists and school counselors, which is a state responsibility. I agree, it's a state responsibility, and so I'm glad to see that in both of those budgets, the House and the Senate, they recognize that. So hopefully, since both recognize it, we'll get something out of conference committee that'll look good, and to help out the schools in that area of mental health and concerns that we have there. So I just wanted to emphasize that. Along with also, I wanted to let you know, Mr. Williams, that those storm damage projects are being addressed, is my understanding. I think either all of those projects have either been started work on or are going to bid as a result of insurance payments and FEMA reimbursement. Matter of fact, Mr. Foster told me this evening that the gym is about to be under construction here at the end of the school year at Southwest. And so those projects are being addressed. And I agree, they're extremely important. Yeah, thank you for mentioning them. They're extremely important. We want to see that damage, a restoration of the schools. Yeah, but we are unable to address all of the needs of those roofs that are 25 years old or 30 years old. If we did at once, it would be nearly a 4-cent property tax increase. And coming off the heels of the hurricane, Florence, we just feel like that, or I feel like, let me speak for myself, not anybody else. I feel like that that would be too much of a burden on the people of Onslow County to incur a 4-cent tax increase, nearly a 4-cent tax increase. So just wanted to let you know that those damages are being addressed, and if there's any that aren't, I'm not aware of them. I'm sure somebody will let me know if they're not being addressed. So I thank you for that, and thank you for coming this evening, and have a good week.
Thank you, Mark. Commissioner Shanahan?
I would just say, of course, we set the public hearing for the budget today for June 17th at 6 p.m. And of course, I'd encourage all interested parties to show up that day, and I hope that we have a good turnout for that. I'd also like to highlight something out of the text amendment case that we voted on today, maybe one of the boring items, but it was something where we updated old ordinances because our staff on the ground saw what's not working and how things could work better, and that came up to us so that we could update those ordinances and make it react to the needs of today. And that's exactly what we want our staff to be doing. We've got to be dynamic as an organization, and I was really pleased to see that on the agenda today, and hopefully we'll see a lot more of it moving forward. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Vice Chairman Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Williams, I'd like to thank you, too, for being here. I appreciate your comments. We're very interested in working with the school board and providing the funding that's absolutely necessary, but I would want to remind the public that we funded 2 new schools last year that are in the process this year. And the county has deferred over $5 million of our own capital improvement needs that due to the shortage of funds. We're not able to fund our own capital needs in a lot of cases, so it's very difficult to find funds to fund all of the school board needs at one time. But thank you for being here. We appreciate your comments. Also want to thank Ms. Morrow Bradley and Ms. O'Hare for being here again. I'm still concerned about this issue, and I also had contact today with Senator Tillis's office, and I was told today that they have escalated the issue to the DOD, and they're working on trying to find a favorable outcome for you. I thank the YMCA again. We've been supporting the YMCA. I hope we'll continue to do that. They do great work, and I get excited when I ride by a couple times a week and see the construction going on in that building. We appreciate what y'all are doing. Also want to thank Ms. Joanne McDermott, who's the Mayor Pro Tem of North Topsail Beach, who contacted me this week about the repairs. Ms. Steele, we thank you for working on those, getting those repairs done as soon as we possibly can. We certainly don't want to lose any more of that tourism revenue than we can possibly help. But I understand engineering and CAMA and a lot of different permit issues have been holding up those repairs, but they're getting done as quickly as we possibly can. Also want to remind everybody that Onwassa is under a voluntary water conservation request. Onwassa has plenty of water. but we can't pump it fast enough for the need. Last weekend, the need was 13.5 million gallons a day, which is normally about 8 million gallons a day that is processed with Onwassa. So the water's there, just can't get it out of the ground quick enough. And I understand that the rain, a little bit of rain this weekend has helped a little bit. But we'd appreciate if everybody who's on Onwassa would try to conserve until we get some good downpours out there. And finally, the Salvation Army in Jacksonville, Onslow County in April helped 1,722 people to the tune of about $84,000. 145 of those were military or dependents, and 43 were homeless. And all of that was done without the help of any taxpayer funding. So we thank you all for being here tonight. We hope you have a good evening, and be careful.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Not a lot to say after you have 6 people speaking in front of you. But I will say this, David Williams, I appreciate you saying you want to raise taxes, and I'm sure that if you want your taxes raised, we can probably arrange that. But I'm telling you, there's probably 200,000 people that might speak different about that. But anyway, I thank you for being here, and there is a need for the schools. We really know that. We all reeling from Hurricane Florence, so we all have damage, we all have repairs to make, and we've been struggling with the budget, trying to find the funds just to fund our county operation. But anyway, that's enough said about that. The 2 ladies that spoke about the Medicare, Medicaid, I want the public to know that the only involvement that the county has in your situation is picking you up and taking you to the trauma center. I mean, we are mandated by the state emergency medical protocol, if you got a trauma situation, to take you there. And I understand your problem, I really do, and I thank Commissioner Knapp for stepping up to the plate and jumping in there and helping y'all out. So you might want to confer with him and Riley Eversole at the Naval Hospital and see what other arrangements can be made out. I know that they're working on the situation, but it's just unfortunate that they don't file Medicare and Medicaid paperwork for you to get your bills paid, and that's something that we really don't have any control over. And really the only reason I let you go ahead and finish your 5 minutes out is because I felt respectful to you to come up here and let us know about the problem. So thank you for coming, but that is involvement from the county according to the county attorney. So we appreciate the problem, and we're trying to see what we can do to help you get it resolved, but thank you for that. Thank you for the update on the YMCA. We had, I see work going on over there all the time, and you fulfilled your obligations by getting that building renovated and getting the work done over there, and we're looking forward to seeing the YMCA blossom and see the results of the fruits of your labor for all the people that's involved in the YMCA and bringing that to Jacksonville. Other than that, I will say that because of the aggressiveness of this board in last year tax collection, we are right at, not quite there, within a fraction of a percentage, 99% collection rate on our property taxes for this year already. So that's a good thing. Anyway, have a good evening. Be safe in your travels back to the house. Thank you for coming. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Well, that was quick. We adjourn.